Hello everyone, I'm doing a reading on Liampayne. I actually don't like to do readings on these circumstances, and I don't like to channel the soul so immediately. It's the 18th of October, so I think pretty much straight away on the 16th it was coming out that, about Liampayne. If I saw it on YouTube 16th or 17th, I'm not sure, it's the 18th. It's early, and I just feel like this is going to get so many people that are going to want to believe this was like a music industry sacrifice, or I don't know, there's just going to be so many varied drama, and for that reason I'm doing this reading. Before I pull any cards, it is a mental health situation, but the substances that he would have been taken did not help. So I know, what do I know of the situation is that he was in Argentina, and I've taken notes as well. So he was in Argentina, he flew out the 30th of September, I believe, with his girlfriend. I don't follow him, so I just knew from what I looked into. Girlfriend Kate Cassidy, and so allegedly this is for entertainment purposes only. And the reason I didn't do the reading straight away is because I didn't want to do the reading, and there's so much pain in it. At the same time, I think a lot of people feel what he'd be feeling, but probably some will be in the music industry and have the fame, have the money, and some people don't even have the money as a blessing. So alcohol, substances, probably some medication. Kate left on the 14th of October, and I believe this happened on the 16th of October. And it's 10 a.m. my time. So Liam was born in Wolverhampton in England. I think it was in 1993, if I'm not mistaken. In 2008, X Factor rejected Liam when he went to X Factor is like for music, for singers, for artists, and he was rejected but told to come back in 2 years. He was rejected then, but he was encouraged to join a band, and there was actually 4 of them that were actually going to lose if they don't join as a band, and this band was formed as One Direction. They actually placed number 3 in the X Factor as a band. However, they did get a music industry agreement, which is from a company owned by Simon Cowell. They got great success. Their first album was Up All Night. And in the same year, later that year, I think it was 2012, they released their second album. In 2013, their third album, and then their 4th album meant they was the first band to receive 4 albums at number 1. They took a break. They announced they were going to take a break, but that was because one of them left. I think this might have been Zain, and they actually never returned after this break. In 2017, Liam released a few solo singles, and then he released a studio album. Now, if he's comparing it to One Direction, it wasn't as successful, but it was a successful. There were successful singles and an album. In 2023, from what I understand, he checked in for a 1-month substance abuse rehab. He had a tour scheduled either in 2023 or early 2024, I'm not sure, I think it's 23, but he had an issue with the kidney, so he had to get it rescheduled. So that's the things that I found out. But I know that he's also dated Cheryl Cole. Cheryl Cole was in, I think it's Girls Aloud band. If I got that wrong, let me know. She went and did some solo. She didn't really hit big. They had a son. I think the son's called Bear. Cheryl's a lot older than him. So after that, I didn't know who he dated. I don't know what's going on, but obviously from the news, I knew that he's dating Kate Cassidy. I don't know who that is. So September 30th, they arrived in Argentina with him and Kate, and then they also attended a One Direction members concert, I believe. I don't know whose that was. Maybe Harry's. On the 14th, Kate left, and then the 16th is this when this happened. What I understand, he was earlier in the hotel lobby, and he was acting a bit aggressive. He might have smashed his laptop up. So I am only going by what came out straight away. There might be more news. And smashed his laptop. I dare say they probably saw he was high on something or had alcohol. And either they sent him to his room or something like that. I think at that point, now they might have tried to call with concern after sending him to his room. Maybe it was too late. I think it all happened very quick. But that was a time where maybe he needed to be restrained, and straight away someone called. They might have tried contacting, but I think there was an element of acting in that moment in time. But again, we can't always blame the other side, because people who are on substances, you can help them, and it's actually quite heartbreaking, because you're trying to help them, but sometimes they just won't listen, and they listen more to strangers. And so you're seeing someone turn to something very different, yet they're crying out for help. Now, with him, what I was getting is that he was definitely crying out for help, and he struggled being alone in those 2 days. I think there was definitely a moment in time where he felt he found his soulmate, and he couldn't understand why that all went wrong. I don't think it's Cheryl, because they split up. I think they would have split up years ago. How old is his son? Would it maybe about 8 or 7 or something? So don't quote me in any of this, but so it might be that, but there's a relationship where he couldn't understand what went wrong. And during that relationship, this is, by the way, this is my downloads, yeah? So during that relationship, he couldn't even express exactly who he was or what he wanted to say. And so that was very difficult for him. I don't know what he's up to in his career. This was not that, oh, he's at the end of his music industry sign off, so they've done a sacrifice on him, or they've, that's it, your end of your contract with your music, so they have to come in and take him out, like I think some people are going to say. And that's why I'm doing this reading. So there is the element of you trying to escape through substances, but it actually makes it worse. So I think on the evening as well, there was, leading up to this, there's that element of that relationship of the past. I think there's something that's gone on in his career. Maybe he's trying to sign his project or something. The reason I keep putting my hand here is because I've got notes that I took while I was getting downloads. So there was definitely like a inner conflict, and then there's a conflict of the mind. And I don't know how many of you have been there, but have you ever been through a very difficult time where you're like, please, somebody help me? please, God, angel, give me a sign. I'm on the right track. Things are going to be okay. And there's just silence there. And I feel that that was the kind of thing going on. I do think there might be already, but I do think there's going to be messages that indicated that. I do think that he's tried to reach out to people where he's been like, I'm alone, or just kind of concerning messages that might have been taken in a way of being weird or stalky or not able to let go of something. And this could be, you know, when I think of that, it could be to do with an ex. But he was like trying to reach out for help, and I don't think that was taken that way. I feel like there's been something that's come out that the person, and I think it's a female, it could be an ex again, is she's put something out, but it's very, it's kind of like when you say, there's two stones here, right? And you're kind of like, you don't want to say they've got these markings on them, right? So they're not plain blue, but what you say is, and you don't want to say directly, describe them fully, but people would want to know which one, right? So you're not going to definitely say this one has a darker, bigger black dot, which would be very evident, right, which one it is. What you're going to say is, out of the two, it's blue and one is fatter. Well, it's very clear, but you don't actually name it by its name. And I think something like that is like been humiliating for him. Like again, he was in something, he felt it was his soulmate, his 10 of cups, his happily ever after, and in that he was not able to express or even till now really speak out about it, or even to the person. And I think that's what conflicted within him, as well as something around his career. So I don't know if he was trying to do a project or something, and maybe he was getting a bit of like rejections or challenges to prove himself. So again, with that, there's an inner conflict around the mind. There's an inner conflict around emotions. I'm going to pull cards, but I think there might have been a little argument that evening as well with all this going on. I won't be surprised that if there's been recent, like, so if someone has come out in media, said something, that he's received some tweets or some backlash, or kind of like, you're weird or you're stalky or something like that. And he, like I said, he was like crying out for help, but this help wasn't there. And I think if he's not alone, he probably wouldn't have taken so much substances. And mainly what I'm feeling, drugs, and I'll tell you why I want to say that, to kind of escape the internal conflict, as well as knowing his moral conduct of, this is not right, but can an angel, can someone give me guidance, can someone give me a sign? And then the silence there. So I'm a big believer that you will get the sign, but there are times where there's absolute silence and you don't even get that glimmer of hope, whether you've asked for a sign or not. And I know a lot of manifestors are going to be like, if you ask for a sign, you will get it. I don't want to say that's not always true, but, and I know people are going to come on, but you didn't see the sign, that's why. No, sometimes there's a test of faith. Sometimes you get tested beyond what you think you can go, okay? And I think this was kind of thing, he could also see that he was doing wrong. And so that was also an internal conflict, but then he wasn't strong enough. He didn't feel he could cope. Um, and I was feeling really sad to do this read, but at the same time, a lot of us probably going through this. Like I said, we might not have and wealth is not everything, but wealth eases the stress of some people having a place, some people having money. And I think, that's why I don't, I'm not saying that if you're wealthy, you've got everything going for you. I also think that he was probably really, really young when he stepped into the industry, and probably some of the rejections he's had at the first stages of like the X Factor prior to that, probably if he was trying to audition for stuff. And then the breakup of the band. And if he was putting a high level of expectancy that he should get like One Direction fame, that could also take a toll on him subconsciously. Okay. It's like the outside of what you should see of the pictures, or maybe with his girlfriend, what he posted when Argentina, is going to be all fine, but inside he's worried and there's fear, and he's upset about this previous relationship. There could have been a message with his current relationship. He feels like I think it's past, but he feels like there was a betrayal, and that betrayal made him kind of obsessed on why did this happen, and that he couldn't express. At the same time, he was seeking peace, and if he did have an argument that evening, maybe the way he was acting out was not in a peaceful way, but it was kind of trying to cry out for help. Now, I'm someone who sees how people don't understand that, and what they will do is say stuff. Now, I'm not saying people should cry out and be an absolute a-hole to people, but I think if a person doesn't usually cry out in that way, maybe we need to hear them. There was this kind of push and pull energy where he's fighting within himself, and yet there's a fear there within him, and he's kind of really reached the end of his rope. I won't be surprised astrologically if his ninth house is at play at the moment, and I think it might have been around the Libra solar eclipse. I definitely think that he also, everything he was feeling was ramped up from whatever drugs he was taking, and there was paranoia. Anyone who's used certain substances, or if you know of someone, a paranoia can come in where they either think they're gonna, DIE, someone's chasing them, someone's haunting them. So along with what he was feeling, there was this happening. And I think that's what also led him to run and jump off. Like the influence of what he was taken and the paranoia of, so for example, if he's on his laptop and he's seeing these things, or he's received a message and he's scrolling and posting original pics or interaction with fans, and then he sees something bad, even if he goes to his hotel room, what he'll see is that constant, like that one message maybe 50 times. So he might think there's like 50 people sending him these messages, feeling attacked and feeling someone's running behind him with these messages, or trying to get him, or there's people that hate him, or maybe someone he fears and loves, but someone that he has told him you shouldn't be doing, like drugs, chasing him, turning up. Like, you see stuff, and that does not help. Okay, so this might not be your juicy reading, but I'm here to say truths. If I do a further reading, it'll be to also calm down again, similar to how You know, for example, uh, what was going to come to me just now? Various of my readings has been less on the drama, because I know some people are just going to go in with what people want. And I've seen channels, the people of the channel go from being very low subscribers, and then I feel their energy turns dark, and I actually then tap into whatever they're doing, and it's kind of like they're just giving what people want to hear, which is like the sacrifice, it's the end of the music industry, he had to go, or stuff like that, you know. This is very clear cut for me, and I think it will come out, and I think there will be messages that were a bit alarming or kind of indicated. I do think that there's going to be he could have like left, not at his last moments, because I think he was just really, he couldn't have been comprehensible of what he's writing, but I think we might find messages or drafts or stuff on his phone as well, or any communication device, let me put it that way. Like at that point as well, he was like, what now? What's, nothing's going right. I'm tired of all this. And again, he was very much silenced from early on, and then in this relationship, and he just wants peace. He felt broken, upset that he can't go anymore. But like I said, there was like the angel on one side and there was the devil on the other side. Okay. What will be interesting is to see, I think Kate might realize there was some kind of concerning signs, but it might have just been that she's felt like he might have been battling with depression or some bad news. I don't know what she's going to come out and say. I think he felt like he was fighting the world because he was focused on all the bad or all the negative that was happening. And I think this has been in the last 6 months or from the beginning of the year that it's really got quite, it's just added up. At the same time, I felt like doing this because we focus on those in the public, and there's a lot of people that will be feeling the same. I do think there's witnesses to how he was acting. I want to ask if there was actually witnesses within his room at the time. Yeah, I won't be surprised, like, if he's like, I'm alone, I need someone to help me, like final kind of messages. Let's see, show me what happened. So if you see this, it clearly means it's really, there we go, straight out the first card. And I think there's a thing of like thinking, you know, you're not as successful, and then in a strange way, some fears around his legacy and money as well. But there we go. And this is just the thoughts that get to you, the substances, the drugs, and feeling chained and binded. But we're going to continue, okay? So a big portion of this is what I said. Heartbreak, grief, things we've said. Eight of Pentacles, really trying to have your head down, your career, trying to have that success, holding on, really holding on. And again, a female comes into figure, and I think this is a female he felt very, you know, was loving and connection, and I think he really sought. I'm told to look at that, yeah. But there was an argument here, can you see, with a female. I don't know what Kate Cassidy's, if she's a water sign, but look, I do think there was a an argument here. And look, there was some sneakiness. Now let's keep going. It was definitely him that did it. I've got my card here that I asked for. And there we go. All right. But he was seeking compassion, but he was actually met with harsh words. And this is why I think there's an argument, or there's something that's going to come up. And he tried to take some time out. He tried to step back. But again, like I said, it's like the devil and angel, because you're feeling tired and your head is just thoughts and all muddled up and your heart is broken. You're really upset. And you just met with ego. I do think that he might have said something quite egotistic on that day, but it was coming from trying to find his strength, okay, and maturity and sort of stance. Can you remember what I said? He thought he had his 10 of cups. He didn't. This is really, really clear in terms of, just realised I might be talking quite low. I hope I've been talking high enough for you to hear me. But disharmony, dysfunction, miscommunication, and not really feeling worthy of love, or not feeling he's receiving the love. And I don't mean to say anything about Kate Cassidy, because it's a heavy burden to say that. You can't put that on someone. It would be unfair. But he was crying out for it, and a lot of disharmony around this. Bottom of the deck, yeah, look, exactly what I said. He thought he found his soulmate, and just I think it might have been a bit of a quick relationship, very romantic at the beginning, but then just didn't work out. I don't know what this is. But again, it's just feeling all this, you know. And let me see if there's anything around his career, like I said as well. Like I said, there was a very challenging decision for him that he needed to make, and he was quite conflicted by it. And here we've got the woundedness of the industry or his music career, and really wanting to seek the same fame or the same, the success of a project. But he was faced with a very difficult, conflicted decision he needed to make here. And I do think it was about something new, a new project, a new contract with, maybe he was signing a new deal. I'm not really sure. Any fans are going to know. I think Zayn Malik is going to be, I don't mean it outwardly, but I think mentally is going to be the most affected on this, by the way. I'm not saying that he was closest with Zayn by any means. I'm just saying what I am getting. And I do believe that once he started realizing he was falling, because at that time you suddenly start to wake up. There's a moment where you kind of wake up as your soul is leaving to what you're doing. It's kind of like, can he swim back up? You know what I mean? And yes, you do find peace once you've done this, because the pain was so harsh. But you then, if you remember my channeling with Sinead O'Connor, is and that deeper diving, you realize that it wasn't really worth all the mental anguish. And it's very hard to say that because I totally understand. Um, but you realize that in the end, you go into the hereafter. So is it worth all this mental anguish? And he would have suffered a very impactful traumatic fall. So I do think that gives you an indication of the amount of drugs and substances where even when he's done that plummeting to, and I don't think he understood he was going to plummet to his DATH. I felt there was paranoia of like, is it could just be the most silliest thing, that seeing all this hate messages chasing him or someone chasing him, just like he's something times 1000, and it's kind of like, I need to run away, and you just run and plummet. But I think you're going to find that there's very strong impact where I'm not sure that he tried to, even when he was in the air falling down, tried to ease the fall, because there was a lot of substances in there as he was. And I don't think his soul stayed around. Sometimes souls stay. They'll stay to see their loved ones, if their loved ones was in the house, for example. But I think this was a traumatic thing that, even when you're alive and you have a traumatic, let's say, car accident, sometimes your soul just leaves for a moment to see if like your physical being stays alive, and then it returns. But when it returns, sometimes people need full integration again, and some people turn to substances, and then there's always a gap where the soul is not fully present in a way. And I can give you examples of this. So I feel like I didn't really want to do this, but all night yesterday, 17th today, I've been like, it's been in my gut to do it. Yeah, I didn't want to do it. I needed to brush off the energy. But I just think there's going to be so many people that this is the way I'm going to grow. This is the way I'm going to have my buy-in. And the buy-in is going to be to create stories around this. Like, for example, it was a music industry sacrifice or something, and I don't think it was. Okay. You saw the cards after what I said. I had downloads and channeling, and I believe that's what will come out. Now, you need to be cautious that the hotel is going to try and, whatever the outcome is, make sure that it doesn't affect their business. So, they need to show that they also, it's not kind of like a safety element. Like, for example, I don't know, just if someone passes in a hotel, not many people want to book in that hotel again. So they're going to be very careful on the messaging of the outcome of this, and that they did everything. Look at this, 2 cards that have fallen out. He did have a fight before. I wonder if they did think of calling for help, medical help, before this happened. I wonder if that will come out. But again, again, arguments. There's an argument also about the way I don't think he was presenting himself in a very loving way yet. I feel like he's a very loving guy and quite empathetic. Like I won't be surprised if I don't know what he's doing, but I won't be surprised if he was doing raising money for charities, if he always interacted with his fans. I feel like he's a really heart centered guy. Um, there's definitely something here of an argument also with maybe around his son, but I feel like I don't know if Kate is younger than him. If she is, it could also be her. But there's something he was battling there. Look at this around the relationship, like I said. Yes, and there is a weight around his career. Like I said, there was something happening with his career. So you've got quite a few elements here, and I think this could mean that um, there was a difficult decision, and I think there might be something where he's had a discussion of a contract or something, and it's not gone through, or they've been delaying it, and they've kind of said, "Well, you need to show us this and that," and it's not taken a very good toll on him. I don't really want to channel like now is he feeling. When I heard the news and until now, when I hear his name, I get chills directly. And I know when Sinead O'Connor passed, I got chills constantly, and it was kind of like very easy for me to channel her. So I might channel him in the future just because I think there might be this was be after his healing journey, okay? Because I like to respect that unless I'm pushed to it. I am going to leave this here. I wanted to pull more. I was going to pull more cards for the reading for the viewers, but I want to respect it, given that I think it's earth shattering for fans, and a lot of people are going to be hooked on this now. But I think it's very difficult. It's probably close to home for so many people, not because it's only Liam, but also um, people are going to understand the mental health aspect. And I really wanted to speak on any drama that people may be bringing up around or the coverage around it. I think I've said what I believe was indicated, and rest in peace, Liam. I I don't think he probably realized how much he's loved and he's adored. And like I said, he could see the moral side, but then he struggled with no sign. Um, and now everyone shows the love. But let's look out for those messages and signs, and may he rest in peace. And I hope everyone has a blessed day, morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are in the world. Take care and bye for now.